Seton, what's the poll question we're at least considering for the first hour of the program?
We got a bunch of them here, Dan. Let's see. How about we start with the game last night? Who has corrected things more? Russell Wilson, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton has. Sean Payton is not letting Russ cook. It's like when sometimes I'll cook a meal, but my wife is always in there to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Mm-hmm. And it feels like Sean Payton is in the kitchen with Russ while Russ is like, I'm going to whip up a souffle. And meanwhile, Sean goes, no, how about a chicken pot pie?
Yes, why don't we start with some scrambled eggs rather than,
let's boil some water, okay?
Maybe not a quiche right away. Why don't we just take it easy?
Yeah, I would say Sean Payton seems to have a little better handle of the roster of what his team is and isn't. I don't know if it's necessarily Russell Wilson. Russ is not losing games for you. I don't think they're relying on him to win games. Whereas with Buffalo and Josh Allen, you rely on him to win games, but he's also he's the problem and the solution, all wrapped into one enigma here. Because you watch, and I know all turnovers aren't created equal, but it comes back to Josh Allen. He is the common thread here. If I look at turnovers here, this is since 2022. Josh Allen in 33 games. That's 25 interceptions and 6 lost fumbles. Trevor Lawrence is second. He's 6 turnovers behind Josh Allen. Then Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Mac Jones, Dak Prescott. He tries. He tries to do too much for that team. I thought the defense played pretty well, and that's an undermanned defense. And there was only one call that I went, what are they doing? And, of course, that was late in the game when they decided they were going to have a blitz. So here it is, Denver 3rd and 10 from Buffalo's 45. There's 35 seconds to go. If Denver gains 5 yards, they're facing a 57-yard field goal into the win. Or they'd have to go for it on 4th down. So they do an all-out blitz. The Bills were flagged for pass interference. And then you thought, okay, Buffalo is going to survive. Missed the field goal, and oops, there's 12 men on the field. This is what it sounded like.
Now they got to hurry the team onto the field to try to kick a game-winning field goal. 15 seconds, 14 seconds. This is going to be a 41-yarder from the right hash. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8. Here's the snap. Hold is down. Kick is on the way. There's a flag on the play, and it's no good.
What's the flag?
12 men on defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So the field goal was no good, but it's negated by 12 men on the field. Denver will get a second chance to kick this field goal. So it's a 36-yard field goal from the right hash. Kick is up, and it is good.
What's the flag? Yes, Todd.
It's really hard to guess if that's the Bills or the Broncos broadcasters doing that.
That was the Bills radio network, Todd. Here is the Bills head coach, Sean McDermott, and it starts with this question.
Do you feel a sense of things unraveling a little bit? Like, what was your sense in that locker room with this group?
Guys are upset. They're frustrated. When you don't get the results you're looking for, you don't have maybe the production you're looking for, they get frustrated. And I can promise it's not from a lack of effort. We got to continue to reset, continue to make adjustments that we need to make. I know the result wasn't what we wanted it to be, but I do think there's some good football times being played, but not good enough. We have things to work on.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I wondered at the beginning of the year, this was the last year of the Super Bowl window for the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, and that Sean McDermott, if they don't get far in the playoffs, could be on the hot seat. I'd say he's on the hot seat. And it's not like Denver played great, but these are the games where you look back on the season and you go, God, we survived. That's it. It's survival of the fittest. That's all this is. This is hand-to-hand combat. You don't get style points in the NFL. All you want to do is win a game, get out of there. And if you're the Buffalo Bills, now all of a sudden the season gets difficult. So you're 5-5. You got a game against the Jets. Great. Patriots, great. But you also have games against the Eagles at Philadelphia, the Chiefs at Kansas City, and then you host the Dallas Cowboys. And you got the Miami Dolphins in Miami to end the season. maybe you get 9 wins this season. That's not good enough. You may have one team out of that division make the playoffs. And that's what I thought at the beginning of the year, that you could have one team make it. I, of course, thought the Buffalo Bills were going to be that one team. But that's not going to happen. What other poll questions are we looking at here?
Well, we could go to the other side of the ball here. More to blame for the Bills' struggles. Josh Allen, Sean McDermott.
Oh, man. I don't think there's a wrong answer. Yeah. It still comes down to the quarterback in today's NFL. I know that, the coach gets fired, but it's on the quarterback. Like Trevor Lawrence had a horrible game against San Francisco. That shouldn't be on his head coach. That should be on him. And this should be on Josh Allen. You're at home against Denver. You should win again. You should win these games. Yes.
Yeah, that was definitely a winnable game. But
Yeah.
when you're watching, are you like, man, Josh Allen sucks?
No, there's a Brett Favre feel to him. Like he loves degree of difficulty, risk and reward. And Favre was that. And Favre bought into this. Like, man, he's a gunslinger. And then he bought into being a gunslinger. Well, he would throw touchdowns, but he would throw interceptions. I mean, he had over 300 interceptions in his career. But that's because he was always looking for maybe the impossible play, the splash play. And, it hurt the Packers. I mean, he was Hall of Fame quarterback, yes. He should have been better. Green Bay should have been better. One Super Bowl shouldn't have been good enough for them. And, Buffalo would take another Super Bowl with Josh Allen. But it feels like they get further and further away the deeper into the season. And that shouldn't be the case. You should be looking at these teams that all of a sudden get some momentum, all of a sudden find out who they are. How many teams can play great? Not our great, because I don't think we have a great team. But if I said how many teams can play great in a game? San Francisco, Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys against a bad opponent, Dolphins
Against a bad
opponent. So that doesn't count. Let's take Dallas and Miami out. These are teams, the Bengals can play great against a good opponent. So that's what I'm looking for. How many teams? Can the Ravens play great against a very good team? And I'd say yes. You might have 5 or 6 teams that have that ability to do something where they're going to win a game on the road in the playoffs. Detroit winning the game against the Chargers in a shootout. Now, granted, you could say it's the Chargers. Still, that was impressive for me to watch Detroit win a game that they don't lose. They used to lose those games. That's impressive. But is there 5 or 6 teams that can play a great game on the road in the playoffs? Or a great game at home against a very good opponent? And you probably have only 5 or 6. Yes, Eden.
But this is one of those seasons, though, where, like you said, there is no truly great team. There's a lot of teams that are really good and then some that are uneven.
Yeah.
If this is the kind of year, though, that one of those uneven teams can get hot at the right time and just run through the playoffs. Like, say, the Dolphins, they've kind of underwhelmed against good teams, but if it clicks at the right time.
I don't know if they could win all their games. Like, Aaron Rodgers won all of his road games when they were wild card and won the Super Bowl. How many teams are capable of doing that? Can Dallas do that? Could Seattle do that? Detroit's going to have home field advantage. Kansas City will have home field advantage. But could Miami go on the road and win? I don't think so. So that's what I'm trying to figure out here is we're, past the halfway mark of the season. How many teams can play a great game? Because you're going to have one of those moments where a team's going to knock off somebody because they played a game that you didn't expect out of them.
Buccaneers?
No. They're terrible.
No. They won the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this year.
No.
Yeah. Maybe clarify that with the Buccaneers. ... Yeah, but that's Tom Brady.
Hello.
What other bowl questions do we have today?
Well, we can stick with the Bills a little bit here. The Bills are going to
I like how
dot.
I jumped down Seaton's throat. No, they're terrible.
That's fine. It's fair.
When
it was
they-
confusing.
when they- yeah.
I communicate that
Yeah,
way.
you didn't do well with that.
The Bills are going to be in the Super Bowl
No.
or miss the playoffs.
We mentioned this yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. Yeah. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Would you rather be the Bills or the Bengals?
Bengals. I mean, that's a tough loss at home, but they had played pretty well, and I still like Joe Burrow more than I do Josh Allen. I trust Joe Burrow more than I do.
Tyler
And-
Boyd catches that.
Yes. Then all of a sudden, Cincinnati survives. Even if Buffalo could have won the game. They could have survived. And then we would go, golly, that's too close for comfort. But then we just move on to the next week. Now you don't move on to the next week and next week as quickly with Buffalo. Cincinnati, you might move on a little bit quicker. But you can't move on too quick. Or I should say you have to because you got a Thursday night game against the Ravens. And therefore, all right, you lost that game. Yep, can't talk about it. We got to talk about Baltimore. And talk about an unbelievable matchup on Thursday night. Both teams had games that they should have won at home. And give credit to Cleveland because Cleveland is one of those teams that can play a great game. God, if they had Nick Chubb, I know we don't want to talk about Deshaun Watson, but we have to talk about Deshaun Watson. He played like he used to play 4 years ago. That second half is as good as any quarterback is going to play. And that's in a tough environment against a rival and a good defense. And he played really well. Their defense is really, really good. They have the potential, capability of playing that great game and surprising people.